are now listening to the Dad Rules Podcast with your hosts, Mario E. and Kid.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dad Rules Podcast featuring your hosts, Mario E. and Kid. Kid, what it do?
Nothing much, man. I'm just glad to be here.
Me too, bro. Me too. So today's episode, we got another great episode for you guys lined up for today. And we're going to talk about, is honesty the best policy? Honesty is the best policy. Kid, what do you think about that?
Me personally, man, I think honesty is the best policy. But when I think about honesty, I think about being accountable.
Okay.
And I think about being transparent.
Okay.
And like not trying to hide things and just keeping things out in the open. I feel like that just leads to better relationships, if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
I feel like
so
it
you
just
mean
makes
like when you're honest, you have a better relationship. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, and I feel like it makes it so much easier. It makes the relationships more natural. And first, I feel like as a dad, you have to be honest with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's two-sided. Like I have to hold up a standard for my kids to be able to trust me. They have to be able to trust that dad loves me, he cares for me, he will do anything to keep me safe on that kind of look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also your kids need to want to build their trust, your trust in them. I feel like that's part of it.
Right.
So I feel like you got to have trust with your kids, and then you need to have trust and honesty and be honest with your significant other. And that's where I feel like accountability really comes into play, because I just feel like in a relationship, and I know we often joke with our friends about, man, you checking in, when you're out with the guys or whatever, man, you checking in and all that. But honestly, to be in a successful relationship, those are just things you have to do, man. And it's not that you do it because that's what your significant other, your wife or girlfriend requires of you. But to me, that was something that I give. I willingly give that information. If I'm going out to Buffalo Wild Wings, it's March Madness going on now. I say, I'm going to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the game with the guys, honey. We're going over there at 8. I'm going to be home around 11. I offer that to her. She's going to give, it's a whole lot easier. I don't have to worry about her texting and calling me where you at and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that.
Right.
I told you up front where I was at. And if you needed to come by and check on me, which you don't have to, but if you did, I'm going to be where I said I was at. And I feel like that kind of trust, man, it just makes your relationship so much better, guys.
Yeah.
Because when you just initiate that accountability part where you offer that information, I don't have anything to hide. I'm an open book,
Yeah.
And you start to realize that you start to be able to get more freedom in your relationship. And I feel like it makes a stronger relationship. The next thing I feel like is that we must be honest with ourselves. And that's very layered when you start thinking about being honest with yourself. Am I the best dad I can be? Am I the best husband that I can be? Am I achieving the goals that I set out for myself? My yearly goals, my 5-year goals. Am I on course with that? Is my integrity in the right place? And I just feel like that when we self-evaluate ourselves, that's when we become better men. And that's when we become unstoppable.
Okay.
Yeah, but how you feel?
Man, so I like a lot of the things you just said, right? And so I think about, honesty and it being the best policy because, that's, we got taught those things. We've heard that statement for a long time. And I like what you talked about with accountability. One of the things that I think about is, in addition to accountability, there's a responsibility with being honest. Okay. And what I mean by that is we teach our kids to be honest and to always tell the truth as we should.
Yeah.
Because I've told my kids, and I know it got told to me when I was a child. So it's just one of those things that I'm giving back to my own children. Like I don't care what it is that you've done or you think you've done,
Hmm.
but be honest with me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me a lie. I know your son, he's not old enough to lie yet, but
Yeah.
as your kids get older, you'll see like they can learn how, oh, I can actually tell a lie in this situation.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just a thing to me to where you have to teach them that there's a responsibility with being honest. And being honest also requires you to be, in some ways, you can't just be, sometimes being brutally honest
Uh-huh.
can backfire on you, especially for a kid, right?
Yeah.
Because I've thought of plenty of times and I've seen plenty of times where kids will be so brutally honest that it's it can embarrass you as the parent. Have you ever been in the grocery store and your child, someone doesn't smell good,
Oh my God.
and your child will say something like, what's that smell? And like you as an adult, you know where the smell is coming from. Maybe the person has bad hygiene that day, or I don't know, but that can be real. And you'd have to teach your kids, yes, you have to be honest. That is true. But sometimes you have to think about, is it necessary
To be
to
honest, at that
say
moment.
to be yeah, to say the things that's on your mind all the time, right? And
Yeah.
so that's one of those things you have to teach your kids with, that there's a responsibility, I think, with honesty. And
Man,
you just
thank
can't
God
just blurt
Carmen's
out,
not there yet.
you just can't blurt out things just because they're the truth. We need to tell the truth for sure. And as an adult, we all know that sometimes the truth hurts, and you have to tell the truth, and it's going to hurt someone, and
Yeah.
it's the truth. But as a kid, you have to teach them to be responsible with that truth. I think that's the good way I kind of look at it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely feel like we can't, I guess as adults and with our sons and daughters, we definitely can't have a fear of hurting their feelings so much, because we have to tell them the truth. We have to tell them what's going to make them a better man or a better woman, because they're going out into this world and they got to be ready for it. And we have to be straight up honest with them. Um, I know I had experience with several experiences with my nephew with that, man. It's like, sometimes you want to give them advice and they don't want to really take it, or they get upset or whatever. And it's like, I've just always been that person that, man, I love you so much that I'm going to tell you this, and you can be mad all you want to. It's okay, because I know at the end of the day, one day, you're going to remember me telling you this, and you're going to say, man, thank God that my uncle was so honest with me. And that's the same strategy that I'm going to take with Jonah. And it kind of takes me back to a quote that I saw from Joe Madden. And it says, if I'm honest with you, you might not like me for a day or two. But if I lie to you, you'll hate me forever.
Hmm.
So
I like that.
that's why I said honesty is truly the best policy. And like I said, sometimes you're going to hurt people's feelings. It's
Yeah.
just going to happen. But if you know that your kids are not living up to a standard that they should be, or they're not being the person that we know that they can be, or they're not living up to their potential, you have to be straight up honest with them so they can be better. But if you always tell them you're good and you don't need to do anything, they won't ever get better.
Let me ask
Another,
you a question.
go ahead.
What do you think about your children being honest with you about certain things?
See, that's where it hurts at.
Yeah. Cause like, I'll share with you an example between my son and I.
Yeah.
This happened years ago. But I remember it because it was like one of the first times that it hit me the way it did, right?
Yeah.
So I forgot the exact situation, but I remember we were at a restaurant.
Hmm.
And it was one of those times where he's just being busy. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know the types of things that motivate your kids and what doesn't motivate your kids. I know for my son, if I say something about a video game or something like that, hey, if you do this, I'll get you this video or some video game or whatever. It's on. You know, I can
Uh-huh.
see the best of behavior, right?
Oh yeah.
And so it was one of those times when we were at a restaurant and he was just busy, just busy, just busy. And then I said, hey, if you can, just kind of make sure you behave the rest of the time we're at the restaurant, I got a surprise for you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so I'm thinking I'm doing the tricking right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trick him into being, on his best behavior the rest of the time we're at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm. John back.
And then when we get ready to leave, I'm telling him, like, okay, you were good. We're getting ready to now go and do the surprise, right? And
Yeah.
for me, I had chosen the surprise was going to be I was going to take him to get some ice cream. Okay. And so we were sitting there around the table. It was me, my wife, my daughter, and my son. And we were sitting there around the table. And he gets done eating. He eats all his food like he's supposed to, and all that stuff. And I'm like, "All right, you ready for the surprise?" He was like, "Yeah, Dad. What is it? What is it?" And I know in his mind, and well, at the time, I didn't necessarily know, but I know now in his mind, he was thinking it was going to be, we're going to go to Target and we're going to go get him a video game or something
Yeah.
like that. That's what he's thinking. He's thinking some huge surprise. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, we're going to go as a family, go get some ice cream. And he just like looks at me with this like just straight, just deadpan look like, I'm bored. And he says
Uh-huh.
that. And I was like, if this boy, what are you, like you ungrateful? That's what's going kind of going through my mind. But he was just being honest. Like that wasn't his idea of a surprise. And so it's just those things like those are just funny things that have just happened, and my wife and we, I think she's a little soft on him sometimes, and she accuses me of being too rough on him sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think it all kind of blends well together. But he and we've had plenty of conversations about different things, right? And he said things to me before, and since then or whatever. And I tell him, hey, look, I give him free rein. Like, look, as long as you say to me respectfully, I want you to be honest. Don't be disrespectful with the truth. You
Yeah.
know, but you can be respectful with the truth, and to me that goes back to what I was saying as far as that responsibility.
I'm just gonna tell you like this, because I heard your story. And I understand how you feel as a dad, but from dad to dad, you sold the brother a dream. You sold him a dream, man. Like you painted it up real nice.
I didn't say what the surprise was. I mean,
I
the
know, but
surprise is a
still,
surprise. I mean, sometimes ice cream can be a nice surprise. We didn't have any at home that day, so I was
oh
going
man,
to take him
come
to
on.
get ice cream.
You know you sold it, man. You painted it up real nice,
I did.
and it was a
I
big
did.
letdown.
Yeah.
I can't even be mad with him about that, man.
Yeah.
You
Well,
did that.
I live and learn, so I learned not to hype up a surprise as whack as ice cream again. So.
Yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you this, like I feel like with honesty and trust, I mean that's the core part of a relationship.
Absolutely.
And what I can say is, guys, if you got that trust right now, don't do anything to jeopardize that trust, because the path coming back to that is not a easy path at all. It's a whole lot easier to maintain the trust that you have and build on that than to sacrifice that trust or jeopardize that trust where you don't have it anymore and then you have to get it back. Um, and we've talked before. You familiar with the paper analogy, right? When it comes to trust.
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, you take a piece of paper and you ball it up. That's the trust being broken. And then when you bring the piece of paper back out, it has all these wrinkles in it. It doesn't look like the piece of paper from before. So with trust, once that trust is damaged, I guess my question is to you, does that trust ever get back to being the same? Once that trust is betrayed, once someone is betrayed in any way, does it get back the same?
That's your question for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel like we need to talk about. I think it's
Yeah.
something that a lot of viewers may be dealing with or have experience with that they can comment about.
Right. I think most people would tell you that I think some people would tell you no.
Hmm.
I think some people would say, it just takes a long time to get that trust back. I like to be optimistic and like to think that, if someone uh violates your trust,
Hmm.
it may take a while for you to truly forget about it and it not and when certain things happen again for it not to trigger. But I
Yeah.
like to think that at some point, after demonstrated behavior,
Hmm.
you should be able to get that trust back. At now, depending on the situation, depending on the person, depending on several different factors, that trust could be gained again in that particular area within a week. It could be
Hmm.
years, you
Yeah.
know. But depending on the situation and the person, it may never get back to the way it is. But
Yeah.
I think that's how it is though. And that's why to me it's so important to be honest and to be responsible with the truth
Hmm.
and to make sure that we're teaching our kids to do the same because they grow into adults who may violate someone's trust and be dishonest and that could damage a relationship that they have. It could
Yeah.
damage a relationship between father and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter, mother and son. It could, when that honesty is made into dishonesty, it can damage relationships.
Yeah. Because I mean, from from me, I guess in my experiences, I just feel like that trust, it won't be quite the same again. I feel like that you can build it back up. And I've seen people that have had dishonesty and betrayal in their relationships. And then, 20, 30 years later, then things are back to where they used to be. And it can be shorter than that. Like you said, you gave the different time frames for it. I just feel like that in order for that to happen, that behavior that was taking place when the dishonesty and the betrayal took place, that behavior has to be taken away completely, and it can't show its face again in any kind of form in order so you can heal properly. But everybody, everybody's different. Everybody handles situations differently, and I just feel like it just depends on the person. And in a perfect world, I feel like I want everybody to be able to get things back. But I understand that it's not a perfect world all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. You want to tell everybody hey? Say hey. Okay. I'll see you later. You gonna show everybody your truck? Okay, everybody. This is
Monster truck. What's
Monster.
up, Jonah?
Yeah, it's your monster truck. All right, I'm gonna come up there and play with you later, okay? All right. Well, yeah. I just, you want everybody to be forgiven. You want everything to be okay.
Yeah.
You want everything to work out right, but we know that it's not a perfect world that we live in. And unfortunately, sometimes when people lose that trust, they don't ever get it back again. But I think as people, we need to always leave room for forgiveness, so people can come back and try and do the right thing.
Right, right. I know that if I were to do something that violated someone's trust or their opinion of me, and I asked for forgiveness, I would sincerely hope that they would. And so for me, I try to make sure that I extend that same forgiveness to someone else.
Yeah,
You have to. You
yeah,
have to. We mess up all the time, and we ask for forgiveness from God, and He forgives us. So I need to extend that same forgiveness to other people.
yeah. Especially
Make
people of
stuff
faith.
wrong.
Especially people of
Absolutely,
faith. We need to exercise
absolutely.
our abilities to get forgiveness, and and really mean it.
Yeah.
You know.
One of the things too, uh there's so much there's so many lies that's out there, right? And I just think that sometimes we tend to, as a society, um promote the lies, and we bash the truth so many times,
Yeah.
right? And I think that it's so, you even think about, we condition people to lie in a lot of situations, which is sad. Um, you think about the game Two Truths and a Lie. You ever heard of that game? You ever seen that game? A lot
Yeah.
of people use that game as like an icebreaker and things like that. But
Yeah.
I
They do.
know I know it's supposed to be for fun. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying, you know, you can't have fun. That's not what I'm saying. But
The
what I'm
no
saying
pun
is,
police.
nah, that's not it. But I'm just saying that at its core, that game is teaching you how to lie. You think about it.
It is
You're
though.
supposed to
It is.
tell something so good, three things, and you're supposed to make all three of them sound like the truth.
You are. You
And
are
don't get me
absolutely
wrong,
right.
it's fun to play the game, but it's teaching kids a lie, at the end of the day. And I just think
Absolutely
that's
right.
so funny. I just
Teaching them
think that's
how
so
to lie, yes, but teaching them how to lie good is the objective of the game. So yeah,
yeah. So
can't
so
argue.
yeah, it's so funny that that's how it is, but we have to make sure that we're still teaching our kids, hey, be honest, be honest,
Yeah,
be honest.
that all you have on that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's go to our next segment of the podcast. My favorite segment of the podcast. It is the Ask the Dads portion of the podcast.
Yeah.
And Mario E, I have another question for you. And today's question is, as a father, what was the scariest moment being a dad? What was the scariest moment you've had as your time as a dad?
The scariest moment.
Yes. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to hear what the people are going to say.
Yeah. So I think for me, uh it was, I have to say, for me, the scariest moment was when my son was born.
Hold on, man. I was there. It didn't seem like it was nothing scary to me.
Okay, so you weren't there when, so let me kind of back up a second, right?
All
So
right.
I remember it was on a Tuesday. So my wife, she had a due date, and the due date passed, and the doctor basically said, hey, since you don't have a due, the baby hasn't come yet. If the baby hasn't come by Tuesday, you all come down, and 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time it was that particular day, and we're gonna, what they call it, induce her or whatever, and
Yeah,
do all that
that's
stuff.
it.
Yeah. So we went on that Tuesday, and that Tuesday morning we got there, and they did all the stuff they needed to do. And so we were just kind of sitting there waiting for things to happen, waiting for it to just naturally occur. And then probably I'd say that went on for a couple of hours, come in and find out if you dilated to the right amount or whatever and all this stuff. And it just wouldn't happen. And then next thing you know, um, uh, maybe around 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon, the doctor comes in and he's noticed that the heart rate was doing some funny stuff on the screen. Okay. And so he's like, he comes in and he's noticing that he's like, we got to take this baby right now because
Oh
his.
man.
And so, like, my eyes get big, and I'm looking at my Aisha, and it was like they're starting to rip all this stuff off of her, and they're rushing her to like some back room to do like the C-section. And like, I don't know what's going on. We had our daughter or whatever and stuff, but um, so this is my first time experiencing all this because my daughter's, technically my stepdaughter, but I call her my daughter. Been in her life since she was 1 year old, but okay.
Yeah.
So we're I'm back there and I'm like, what is going on? My wife is nervous and I'm nervous because it's just it became like super heightened, super stressful at that moment. And I'm just sitting there like,
Goodness gracious.
I'm praying that everything is gonna be okay, right?
Oh, right.
And so they do what they need to do, and they take him or whatever. Uh and I just remember like looking over at my wife after he comes out, after they pull him out or whatever and stuff. And the first thing I thought about was, geez, that boy's ears are big. That's the first thing I thought about. And then after that, I just looked at my wife. I was like, I don't want to do this again. So
Wow.
I was just like, because it was just a traumatic experience for me.
Yeah.
You see all these TV shows and stuff, and you're like, everybody's just, especially when you see things like these water births and all this. And
Yeah.
it just was not that experience for us
Yeah.
back here in the back of the room. And it was just like, man, what is going on? And then I remember, they do all these tests on the baby when they first come out. And the nurse said that now this is like, mind you, like a couple hours later after just having him, that she was doing like his hearing test and his hearing check or whatever. And she said that she noticed that he was not responding to the tones or whatever and stuff. And so I'm like,
Okay.
wow, what's going on?
It's
just
got this going on.
yeah. And so she came in and said that. And then what she told us was, she said, but I'm gonna retest him because my daughter did the same thing and I had to put my daughter on the side to notice. And so she came back and was like, yeah, I did that. And yeah, he responded to the hearing test. Yeah, and it was just like one thing it was just like, uh I just thought about something like, but I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, that to me was probably the scariest moment, big as and especially being like, new father of a brand new baby boy. And it was just, wow, I was blown away.
Yeah.
It was I was very nervous at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Why does it always have to be the births?
I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
what I'm thinking right now. So I remember mine vividly. We had just purchased our house. Just purchased a home, and we were actually having our housewarming, and everybody came over. It was really nice. It was Mother's Day weekend, and Jonah wasn't born yet. I think Shanika was about 7 months pregnant, and everything was just great. We had a good day. It was a really busy day, so we laid down, and for some reason, Shanika couldn't really sleep that well that night, and so she just, I guess, decided to just get up. go sit on the couch or whatever. And it became like that Monday. I think this was like early that Monday morning, and I was going to work that morning, and I got up, and Shanika's like sitting up in the chair, and she's like, "I'm like, honey, what are you doing? Like, why are you up so early? And why are you not in the bed?" She said, "I just felt uncomfortable, whatever, so I just decided to sit out here." And I said, "Okay." So she said, "Well, we have the doctor's appointment today, so I'll go to the doctor's appointment and we'll, figure out what's going on then." So I'm just thinking like this is nothing big. I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go to work." And then she's like, "Okay, that's fine." She said, I'll see you at the doctor's appointment." So I had to leave work a little early to go to the doctor's appointment. I was gonna go to the doctor's appointment. I was gonna come back to work. Went ahead, went to work, got to work, went to the doctor's, and we told the doctor, who said, she's been experiencing a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. What's going on? And he was looking, and they hooked her up. You know how they do all the tests and everything. And he said, well, we kind of know why she's having all this pain. She's having contractions. What?
At 7 months.
Yes, she was having contractions at 7 months, and she was like just going through it like a soldier. And I'm saying, thank God that she didn't just have the baby in the house,
Right.
So we went there, and he was like, "We got to take her to the hospital right now." So I went back to work, got all my stuff together, and then they were like, "We need, this hospital right here doesn't have a NICU. We need to get you to a hospital that has a NICU."
What's
So
that?
It's where they take premature babies.
Okay.
And the hospital we were at, they didn't have the facility, the equipment and everything to take a child that was being born early. So they're like, "This baby is coming, and we're going to try and stop this baby from coming so you guys can get to the other hospital." It was like that.
Mm.
So me, first time dad, I am nervous. I am a wreck. I'm a wreck. When I hear this, I just put my head down, and I couldn't hold back the tears, man. I was like, "Oh my gosh, my baby is in trouble. My wife is in trouble." I was so upset. So we ended up going to the other hospital. We got there, and when we get there, everything was just so nice. People were so nice. And the hospital that we were at before, they stopped the baby from coming. They did everything that they were supposed to do. I was really happy with how they handled everything. They made us feel good about everything too. But when we got to the new hospital, they said, "Here we have everything we need to take care of the child once the child is born. But we're not going to stop the baby from coming. If he or she," because we didn't even know what the sex of the baby was.
Okay.
We had decided we didn't want to know. So they said, if he or she wants to come, they're going to come. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So we got there like on, I think she might have had that stuff going on that Monday, and then we ended up really like going up there. I think they got everything to calm down, and then that Wednesday, I think she started having some more issues or whatever, and then that's when they took us to the other hospital. When we got there that Wednesday, and she was having off and on contractions from Wednesday till Sunday.
Wow. So that went on for a week.
Yes, bro. Yes. And he ended up coming on that Sunday. He ended up being delivered on that Sunday. Premature. He was still like almost 4 pounds, I think, or right around 4 pounds or so. So I think he was like 3 pounds, 14 ounces at 7 months. So he was a pretty big boy. But man, you talk about somebody was like so nervous. I remember being in there, and like I said, the doctor said something just like they said to you all. She was like, "The heart rate is jumping. We need to get this baby out of here."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And we had this room and had a TV in there. And can you believe what movie was playing during Jonah's birth?
Nah, what?
Superman 1, the one that was probably, they made that one back in the 90s. And then when they came back and made the new one, this was that Superman. So they played Superman back to back.
Okay.
He was actually born during those movies. Like it was so cool, man. I was like, oh man. So like that's when I started calling Superman Jonah. And so we got there and we pretty much, they were like, he's not ready to go home because he didn't weigh enough. And wasn't a whole lot of other stuff going on, but we had to stay up there for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
He was able to come home. But man, thank God everything was pretty smooth up there. I mean, you go through a lot of stress even in those 6 weeks because you just ready to take your baby home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my most nervous moment, or my the time that I was scared as a dad. Now I got an honorable mention.
Okay. Hey, but first,
Okay.
Let's clap it up to our wives, man, for just being troopers, man, through all the situations. Let's clap it up for them, man. Because I mean, I tell you, man, like I didn't know all the details of what you were just saying as far as with you and Shanique. And it sounds like you didn't know all the details that I shared with you.
Yeah.
As far as with, Israel being born. But yeah, man, it's just, it was very, very stressful.
Yeah, it was.
Because you don't know what is about to go on. You don't know what is about to happen. And then when these doctors come in there and they're snatching everything off and, they making a big deal out of it, man, I was shook, man. It was just, it was wild.
Yeah. But
what else you got?
The honorable mention was, he was probably, I would say maybe 1.5 or something like that, maybe. And we've always had him sleep in his bed. From early on, we had him sleeping in his bed. So he's used to being in his room, but every now and then he tries to creep in our room, right? Mm-hmm. So this was just one of those nights that he crept in our room, and I don't know, we might have brought him in there or something. And Jonah's a wild sleeper, man. Like, you can't sleep with him. It's like he just wants to put his feet on you, wants to kick you out the bed, kinda. And if you go in there and you see him in his bed, man, he's all over the place, But it's his bed, let him sleep how he sleeps,
Right.
But when he's in my bed, it's a different story.
Yeah,
I need to get my rest.
How you sleep.
Right? So he's kicking me all on my side. And I'm like, man, enough is enough, man. Like, I'm going in the other room, And I went into our guest bedroom and I slept in there. Why the next few minutes I hear this big thump.
Ooh.
In the other room.
Yeah.
Yeah. He rolled over, thought I was there, and I wasn't there.
Oh, man.
He got up, he was crying, and he had like a little mark on his head or something like that. And I was like, and at that point, you just like, man, I want to make sure my baby is okay.
Right.
So it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, honey, what we going to do? And we both came to the conclusion that we need to take him to the hospital and make sure he's all right. So we took him to the emergency room. The middle of the night, man, took him to the emergency room. They got the x-rays on him and everything, and he was all right. But, man, that was a stressful day too, man.
Yeah.
Gotta love it, though. Everything turned out good.
Oh, yeah. I think at some point, most kids have fallen out of the bed at some point.
I know. I told one of my other friends that, and he said, yeah. He said, I was changing my baby one day, and then he rolled over real quick, and he was in the floor.
Yeah.
Like, he was all right now.
Yeah.
I was like, yep. So we want to know what you other dads have. And, I mean, you want to bring the moms in on this too? If they have any scary moments that they had? We can do that. Yeah, we want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you.
So get in the comments, like, share, comment, and that's it. Mario E and Kid signing off.
Thank you for listening to the Dad Rules Podcast with your hosts, Mario E and Kid. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, follow and like us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Breaker, and Player FM. Till next time.